Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Too Many Guys Soccer Show. Our host is dealing with what we call homeowner's joy, which is, of course, a slew of issues that he has to take care of at his house. Mike, wishing you all the best, and hopefully you can get everything patched up and repaired, and you don't have any issues with those who are doing the work on your home. All the best to you, and hopefully you can get back and take over this train again soon. I'll be running the show for the next couple of weeks. I'm Stead, and we are finally coming back, and hopefully we can get back a bit more on a regular basis as life has gotten in the way for several of us. And I'm still getting used to being down here in Atlanta and handling all the Atlanta vibes and also rekindling an old career that I thought I had already walked away from, which has been interesting but enjoyable to say the least. I'm joined this week by, of course, Byron Robb, who will be discussing all things Bundesliga, as well as Professor Matt and Chelsea Mike will be joining us a little bit later to be Chelsea Mike, as only he can be. So before we begin, something I'm going to start doing probably once a week is I'm going to rant about something that bothered me. So I don't know if you guys saw this, but I was watching the Newcastle West Ham game, which was the Premier League game of the weekend. Very exciting game. Newcastle was able to come back and win that game 4-3. Of course, my lovely children were distracting me, so I had to, of course, leave, and I missed the end of the game, but at least I was able to check out the highlights and see some very exciting football. But around the end of the first half, Shar commits a foul, and in the act of committing that foul, he took a hand to the face. Okay. I don't know if any of you guys had babies, but who's been smacked in the face by a baby before? Stings a little bit. You kind of go, and then you get up and move on. That's essentially what happened. Shar decides to lay on the ground for 5 minutes. He's laying on the ground. In that 5 minutes, West Ham kicks the free kick, scores a goal. Newcastle players up in arms. Isak is yelling at the ref. This is my problem. If I was a Newcastle fan, I would be angry at the player who decided to lay on the ground because he got a little smack in the face. That was not a potential head injury. That's not a head injury. It's a smack. And for me using the word smack, that is actually probably the strongest term you could use for what happened to him. And he laid on the ground. If you want to falsify the notion that soccer players are wimps, that's not the way to do it. Get up. Number 2, match officials, control the game. He was, I forgot, I don't remember who the ref is, was walking towards the free kick where the ball was placed, and West Ham decided to play it, and he didn't blow his whistle. He just kind of let it happen. So again, make a choice. If you're going to approach, blow the whistle. Let everybody set up because the ball is outside of the 18. Let everybody get in their positions. Let them take a natural free kick. But again, this goes back to our number one issue with what's going on, especially in the Premier League right now, is just it's poor officiating. It's just poor officiating. He should have gone to that player and said, get up. Nothing's wrong with you. You're the one that committed the foul. Like, if you commit the foul, I don't think you have the right to lay on the ground and act like you're hurt. I'm sorry, you don't. You don't have the right to do that. You need to get up and get on with the game. Get up. I don't care if you're tired. Get up. It's Newcastle, too. Like, this isn't Arsenal. I'm an Arsenal fan, but this isn't Arsenal. This is Newcastle. Newcastle's supposed to have some sort of, like, toughness. Am I right or am I wrong?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, they're owned by the Saudis. I mean,
That's true. Maybe they changed the culture after
they're
the world money came in.
yeah, they're a mercenary team. Now, like, oh, and by the way, I just looked at the slap. Yeah, like I understand the sportsmanship of
Come
like
on.
laying on the ground for like a couple minutes for your team to catch his breath, but 5 minutes, no.
As soon as that ball was in play, he should have got up. Get up. Because your gamesmanship has already failed. It failed. And now they scored. And that Ghanaian kid from West Ham looks good. He looks real good. Maybe we can talk about him later. I like him. But that's my rant. I had to get that off my chest because it's been bothering me all week. But Rob, how you doing today, my friend?
Still a morning.
Yeah.
Still, I mean, 11 titles in a row was nice. 12 would have been, 12 would have been an even number. That's not in the cards. And I need an aspirin. Who makes aspirin? Oh yeah, that team. Okay.
Rob, we're gonna jump to you in just a second. Matt, how you doing today, my friend?
We're all right, man. We're all right. Hanging in. Semester slowly winding down. And I can tell because my allergies are atrocious.
Hey, you're not the only one. I'm experiencing new levels of pollen in Georgia that I haven't experienced before in my life, and it's really slowing me up. But so we're gonna jump right in and talk Bundesliga. So Rob, yeah, it looks like this is actually over. I mean, you're looking at Bundesliga's on what match day? I think got what six fixtures left, I'd say. You have Bayer Leverkusen up by 13. You have, Bayern took an L to Dortmund, so Dortmund looks like they're trying to do what they can to solidify the fourth place in the Champions League. Rob, what is going on, and what does this mean for Leverkusen?
All right, we have 8 fixtures left, but
Is it 8? Okay.
Honestly, like it's funny. Tuchel congratulated Leverkusen after the game, after the beating that Dortmund put on us. But like this could have been said like 3 weeks ago. I mean, like I know Bayern had like a little bit of hope, but then like they dismantled Darmstadt and Mainz. I'm like, and we all of a sudden like us Bayern fans like we're like, oh, like they got hot, maybe they could do something, and Dortmund just shut it all down. And then like Leverkusen, like it's hard to do anything in the league when the team you're trying to catch is like near perfect. They haven't lost.
They don't lose.
They should have lost.
Drop points.
There was 3 or 4 matches they should have lost or drew, and they won like in crazy like cardiac kids-esque fashion.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's something special going on in Leverkusen, and I'm happy for them. I'm happy for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's somebody new. They're gonna shed their Neverkusen title, that their moniker, their nickname.
Yeah, they've never won a Bundesliga, have they?
No, they never won anything.
Oh wow!
Hence the Neverkusen logo, the mantra. But they did something different in that they did not do a retread from the Bundesliga or Austria or Germany. They like, you know what, we need something different, like something spicy or something like that the league hasn't seen. And here comes Xavi Alonso, who was not far away from being a Gladbach manager, but told him, no, I'm not ready. He's ready. He's ready for the big time. Now, like we'll see what he does next season, of course. But this season, man, like what he has gotten the team focused, playing his style. He's got a lot out of players. Like Jonathan Tah has been resurrected from nothing. Like, and then he's now potentially going to be the starting center back in the Euros for Germany. Florian Wirtz coming back from his awful knee injury is having a hell of a season. Jonas Hoffman who they got from Gladbach on a Bosman, or whatever you call it, doing well. Even though Victor Boniface has gone down with an injury, he'll be back sometime this month. Like Patrick Schick just came right on in, slid right in. And he's the one that scored the winner this past weekend. I mean, like it's incredible, this team. I mean, and before the Dortmund game, if you ranked like a lot of the best Bayern season up to that round, like it's one of the top 5 seasons. It's incredible. And you would never think it because the performance that Leverkusen has done week after week. I'm happy for them. They're one of the original factory teams. That's why they called the Workman 11 or the Factory Elf. So they're exciting to watch. They're fun football. They're different football. The league hasn't seen it, um and now next season though it's going to be different because now they're in Champions League, and you're going to lose a player or two. I think you're going to lose Frimpong. He's had the release clause, um but it seems like Leverkusen will invest in this team. They will find replacements, and they'll need them because to go deep in Champions League it requires a lot of your top players playing and not being 100% during the league. Um, so I think that's why he stayed. I think he's staying because of that. I honestly thought he was going to leave when he won, if he won the league. Um, but I think he's staying because he wants Champions League. He's like, I didn't do anything. I need Champions League. How do I do a Champions League? He's always like testing himself. And the one thing I love about Xavi Alonso is that he's done the work. Like he didn't just get a job like for a top club. He's like, I'm gonna go back to my roots. Actually, he started doing it beforehand. When he went to Bayern Munich later in his career, he did it specifically so he could learn under Pep Guardiola. Then he went back to the Real Sociedad Academy. He stayed there for a while. Then he made his leap to Leverkusen, and which is a no pressure job for the most part. And look what he's done. It's been incredible. I'm really happy for him. Happy for the league. I'm sad, of course, because Bayern are not going to hold that wonderful salad dish that we call the Meisterschale, and we won't have the gold league patch anymore on the sleeve. But Xavi Alonso is, he spent some great times in Bayern, and so I love him for it. So, so props to him. Props.
Yeah. What is it? It sounds like there wasn't too much of a surprise that he was staying either. It seemed like that story was posted and the world was like, wow, that's great. He's not going to go to Bayern. That's great. And then they just sort of moved on. So I think, what does that say about the club and the job that they believe Xavi can do continuing?
Yeah, no, I think he's comfortable there. He wants to test himself more. He wants to see what he could do with these group of players in Champions League. And also, like, I think it says he does things on his own time. Like, he could have taken a job, but he's confident enough in himself to say, you know what, those jobs will be there when I'm older. They'll be there. Like, I don't have to rush right away. I could take the Leverkusen job. I could keep the Leverkusen job, and maybe like a Real Sosa job comes up or something. I don't know. Like, I mean, that might be like, it could be a welcome coming home, and then after that, he'll transition to a Real Madrid job, for example, and then later on he could have the Bayern job. Later on, he could have the Liverpool job. Like, he's young enough, and he still has so much positivity behind him that jobs will be opened up. It's almost like a Julian Nagelsmann as well. Like, I think he also is gonna have jobs lined up for him, and he doesn't have to rush for the big job yet. He can take his time.
Yeah, I mean, it's always weird. I mean, I feel like I'm getting old when the coaches start being younger than I am. That's when I really have to start making sure I go to the doctor once a year. But the and speaking of management, I mean, we all know Tuchel's out, but I mean, what does Tuchel do? Because it's an interesting situation with him because he's not a coach that we've seen who's been able to sort of leave on his own terms, but he wins. He does win things. He does have his fair share of silverware. Does he get another top job, or is he going to follow the kind of the Jose Mourinho route where you may take a team that used to be a top team that's fallen on hard times, like when he went to Manchester United, but he won 2 trophies there? Or, or is he going to take I'm not dumping on Spurs. I'm not, but does he take a Spurs type job? Like what does he do now? Because it seems like the management of these clubs don't want to deal with the headache of Tuchel. And look, Chelsea, Mike, you can speak to this as well. I think I'd love to get your opinion on it. But Rob, we'll start with you. What's next?
Someone in the Premier League is going to throw money at him. I guarantee you. Like, it wouldn't shock me if like a Newcastle did, for example. Like, Newcastle's in 8th. Like, they spend money. They want Champions League. They want Europe at least, right?
I was hoping you wouldn't say that because I like Eddie Howe, but I get it.
I know, but like they'll splurge. Look, like the Tuchel, the way they'll approach Tuchel is like, this is not Tuchel's fault. It's not his team. He didn't really was not instrumental in assembling the team. He came under chaotic management. Yeah, the management that's in place now did not pick Tuchel. The people that picked Tuchel got sacked months after they picked him, and Salihamidzic and Oliver Kahn. So like, I know Uli Hoeneß has talked about he liked Tuchel, and Tuchel's Bavarian and all that, and it's beautiful and the match made in heaven, blah blah. But the problem with Tuchel and this is what's required of the Bayern job. Tuchel's not a statesman. Like, he's not like an ambassador figure. He's going to like coddle the players, protect them, and speak, and they present themselves well in the public, and be an advocate or an ambassador for Bayern Munich. That's not his style. Like, he will chew you out in the press. He will be animated, and it rubs people the wrong way, especially the many egos at Bayern. And I think that's a big part of his issues as well. Like, he didn't get along with the board at Dortmund, probably because they didn't want to spend the money for players. He probably didn't get along with the ego to PSG, despite them. He took PSG to a Champions League final.
Champions League final.
It's a one thing Qatar loved having. The reason Qatar bought a club is so they could win titles and have a better image of the country in the world's eyes, and he almost got them there. Mm-hmm. And then he won Champions League.
PSG almost.
He won Champions League with Chelsea, and then he had that whole fit with Conte in the sideline, which, by the way, feels so long ago, but it was like last year.
It does feel long ago. It really does.
Or last season or whatever. But
yeah. I totally forgot. I completely forgot Conte was coaching Spurs. I totally forgot about that.
yeah. Now Poch is there, and look what's going on. And well, poor Mike. I'm so sorry. No, but like Tuchel. Somebody will find a job. Some Premier League team will splurge money on him, just like they splurge money on, players that have the English tax levied on them because they're English and we gotta pay the money and whatever. No, he because he won Champions League. They think like he could. We will pay you money, fix up this team, and then he'll destroy the team from the inside in a couple of years. He might win you a title. I mean, I don't know if he'll win your Premier League title because there's just so much competition there.
He'll make you
he might win you an FA Cup. He'll take you deep in Champions League if you get there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no. So no, he will be employed somewhere somehow. I'm pretty sure it will be England because that's the league that had the money to pay for him.
Rob, you understand he can still win you the Champions League this year, right?
Oh, 100%.
You can still win the Champions League.
I know. Don't tell Stead that. Look.
No, you can't. That's another show. Champions League's not this week. I don't have to sweat yet to take another L. At least we're not playing Olympiacos, but we'll talk about that next week.
No, and you're completely look. This is going to be just like the Joe Heynckes situation. Joe Heynckes is tearing up the league in 12-13, and then come January, the board announces we've hired Pep Guardiola, and Joe Heynckes is like, okay, like whatever. I just win everything. He wins everything. That he had to bow out to Pep, and so it would not shock me if Tuchel wins the Champions League with Bayern. And then then we sacked him. They're like, typically when you win a Champions League, that's a great feat. That's a feat that keeps your job. Mm-hmm. So no, this is all chaotic. This is just it's chaos. I don't like it because I'm so used to stability at Bayern. I mean, like, look, there could be a little chaos in the manager ranks, but like, there's chaos everywhere. It's like the boardroom's not is Rummenigge and Hoeneß, are they retired? Are they not retired? Are they having their input? Who's really in charge? Then we took this guy from Leipzig, and he couldn't start till like recently because of contract issues. Leipzig is upset. It's just messy, and I hate it. And Tuchel's gonna lift up the good old rabbit ears and march off into the sunset into Saudi money in Newcastle.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always the Saudi league, for Tuchel. And I don't think they really care about his personality there. Might be a really good fit, a good transition. I think
Hey.
he'll follow the Jose Mourinho path. Just he'll play on his reputation for having won the Champions League over and over again, getting jobs. I mean, I think, even places outside normal thought, places like a Porto or I don't know, in the Italian league, he'll always have a job. I'm not really worried about Thomas Tuchel. Or even trying a place like Greece and trying to get them up and better, make a run. He'll be fine. I don't know about England just because I think that the English, like you're talking about the English tax, I don't really think there is. I always kind of felt like Tuchel was sort of like an interloper on the scene in England. He was like a high dollar coach, not really like a bound to be an English coach. You know what I'm saying?
But he won you the Champions League.
And,
He still won a
Dude,
Champions League.
I don't have bad things to say about Thomas Tuchel. He's a weirdo.
Yeah,
I will say it over and over again. He's just a weird dude.
Yeah,
he's got a weird sense of humor. He's got weird mannerisms. Like he's not a diplomat in that sense.
No.
In that, you put him out there for an interview, it's kind of like, what?
No, he looks like a prosecuting attorney is what he looks like. I mean, in the face. That's exactly what he looks like. But go ahead, Matt.
He's one of the most awkward human beings in major sports. I'm wondering, and Chelsea Mike, you might have some things to say here. Is it possible that we see Tuchel in the international ranks? Only because, in terms of him winning leagues, his record's kind of not great. But in terms of his record in knockout tournaments, where his tactical nous really comes into play, would that not fit the international game? And you don't have to build strong bonds with
Gonna
your
coach
players.
Germany, Rob? Is he gonna coach Germany, Rob?
I mean, would it not be a perfect fit for the United States of America? Probably. I mean,
Chile.
I would take Tuchel over old Greg.
Look,
and that's the thing.
7 days a week and
We'd
twice
all be
on
delighted.
Sunday. Twice on Sunday. Oh, could you imagine the Claudio Reyna situation with Tuchel? Rob, that podcast we did would have been 2 hours long. We would have been having so much fun.
Tuchel just would have put Gio in his place and shut up in your corner and deal with it. But then,
and then he would have cussed out his parents, which would have been beautiful to watch. He would have done it on camera.
I
would have done it on camera.
Everybody talks about good old
USA 2026. Let's do it.
You talk about Greg Berhalter, but look, he's just smacking Mexico and winning trophies. All right, it's hard. He's done the bare minimum. We expect that. So now we expect it.
I want Tuchel. Chelsea, Mike, I'm sorry. That's the best take I've ever heard, man. I think that wins. I'm serious. That would actually, I'm sorry. I'm thinking about that. Two things would happen. He would have that team so afraid that they would actually look like an international soccer team that should compete in the world stage. Or they will be so out of sorts that they will just fail colossally and they will lose to Jamaica in qualifying and then lose to Trinidad and Tobago. They
almost lost to Jamaica a couple weeks ago.
You've already done that, Stead.
We've done that several times. I just didn't have the heart to say El Salvador or Honduras. So
I think the key would be when you'd hire him, because there is a sell-by date with Tuchel when the mutiny comes. But if you could time it where you could get the best out of the squad let's say during the World Cup, and then afterwards just be like, all right, well, it's going to go on fire. So you just need someone before the next Gold Cup steps in.
I guess
Yeah,
so.
no,
But
a year and a half. Hire him at the end of the year. His
Yeah.
year and a half will come for
I
our
just-
World Cup here.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I
No,
probably shouldn't
actually,
hate on
honestly, in
Berhalter as much
practical
as I do.
terms, our star players, Kristen Pulisic, I don't think they have a very good relationship. So,
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah, but
yeah,
they could get
so-
it together. He played for him for 2 different clubs. He can get it together for a tournament. He could. He could. He could. And you know what? He would have to start him for the United States. He couldn't get away with not starting him there.
of course.
I would pay to see that. I don't know. That's another show, but I mean, I don't know. Berhalter is just I don't know. It just seems like another coach that's decent enough to compete in the MLS. That's about all I see. But I'm not going to trash the guy. I do think he's a very competent and very good coach. I just don't think that. I don't know. I don't see a U.S. team that plays as well as I feel like I should. But that's another conversation. It's another conversation. Rob, I do want to ask you this though, because we're going to get to the Euros in a second. But you have seen the some players who have been rising up this year. It's probably easier to kind of see this now when you have just another story to talk about. We're not going to be talking about is Bayern, when is Bayern going to win again? But you talked about Jonathan Tah. I mean, you talk about an imposing figure. I mean, 6'5" with a neck like Anthony Joshua. I mean, okay.
Yeah, he has a neck like a D lineman.
Yeah, I mean, if he's got to weigh 220, 215, I mean, that's a dude right there. What is his, what other, because we've seen Germany's kind of had to shed some old weight. So how has his development been, and what do you see for him? Like, is he, you talked about players that are probably going to leave Bayer Leverkusen. Does he fall into that category? Because yes, I've recently kind of seen this guy, and I was like, geez, I thought Saliba was a figure. I mean, Saliba's skinny like me. That dude is not at all.
Now, Jonathan Tah stays. He has it so good. Look, he doesn't have any suitors that want him. And this is a 1 year where he's kind of resurrected his career, and it's under the best manager he could have.
Mm-hmm.
He's going nowhere. Now he's going to play in Champions League. He's staying. I mean, there's a lot of these kids in Leverkusen who are staying.
He's not 21. I mean, yeah, you're right. He's not 20, not a kid. He's been there for a while.
The only reason I say a Frimpong goes is because he has a really small release clause. He's like 40 mil, and somebody will want to pay for an offensive fullback.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, look, if you need some offensive fullback help, do not pay anyone from the EPL. Get Frimpong with you. Give Frimpong, please. He would do really well. And there was rumors about City potentially sniffing around for him at one point. Don't know how that's going to go out, but they could pay that really easily.
Mm-hmm.
No, so Jonathan Tah he's a very physical. He's a physical specimen. He just never been able to put it together until the season.
Okay.
And so I'm really happy for him. I think he's going to do well in the Euros. Actually, Germany's been doing really well ever since Toni Kroos came back. But the other thing I've noticed about Germany is that they shedded a lot of the weight, and now a lot of the players that are here, for the most part, are on merit. So obviously Toni Kroos, Kai Havertz has been hot. Stead, full well.
Yep,
but there's other players like Mittelstadt who he plays for Stuttgart. He's been like in proper form. Then you got who did the other guy over here? I forget his name, but like he's Undav from Stuttgart as well. Like just another player who doing amazing things like over in Germany, but like he's not a name, he's not the sexy name, not a superstar, but just a player who does his job, that has a role, just does it well. Robert Andrich from Leverkusen, same type of player, just defensive midfielder, hard tackler, enforcer, That's it. Not a sexy name. Not a Tony Cruz. Not a Kimmich. Not a Leon Goretzka. Not just a guy who does something really, really well. And that's always been Germany's thing. They've had these players. They've had these type of players that they have had the superstars, but also the players who fit into the role nicely and just, you don't have to worry about them. And that's what they've been. That's what they've been missing. So Germany's in good form. I think Julian Nagelsmann has finally found the right fit for some of these players. I still think that Gundogan being captain is kind of weird. I wouldn't do that. But because I think there's better players behind, in front of him. I will put Musiala there, for example. But other than that, Germany's what to watch. I like Germany's chances. Talk to me 3 months ago, and I would be like, no. But Germany, looks like they could make, a semi-run potentially.
So, Matt, do you want to jump into the qualifiers, or do you want to talk a little Premier League? What do you want to do? Since Rob's already talking a little bit of
We
Germany.
already started talking about the Euro, so why don't we hop right in?
Let's jump into the qualifiers. Yeah, I mean, we have this whole thing with Nations League actually trying to be important. So we have teams that were able to qualify for this playoff that probably shouldn't, but it is what it is. So if you want to recap it and then talk about what you saw, because we have a brand new qualifier for the Euro with Georgia, with Republic of Georgia.
Yeah, so we'll go to the first pot, which was Poland, Estonia, Wales, Finland. Wales took care of Finland in pretty easy fashion. Poland beat Estonia 5-1. And I'll say this. Santos is Chelsea Mike, I think you would agree with me here. Santos might be worse than the Russians. Overcoming Santos ball and the damage that did in and of itself is a minor miracle. And you're saying, well, yeah, they beat Estonia. Poland should beat Estonia 5-1. That's normal. Second leg against Wales, 50-50. I know Byron Rob hates our goalkeeper, but yeah. Won it in penalties. This 3-5-2 formation seems to suit the talent they have at the moment. The body language is way better. The reward for qualifying is, of course, being grouped in a group with France, who's one of the co-favorites, the Netherlands, who I think would all say under the right circumstances could win the thing, and a better Austria team, but with the expanded field with the four top third place teams. Man, all we need is a win against Austria, and then we're at least in the conversation, right? I mean, if you asked me whether we were going to be here 3 months ago, I would have said, hell no, because we were the team that, ran out there against the Faroe Islands and played a low block. This isn't 2016 Poland, which I, considered like a dark horse, but we got to a tournament, which for some of these guys, particularly Lewandowski, is at this stage of their career, I think, important in terms of simply legacy. And, we're in a group that's, of the three teams that advance, it's probably the worst scenario, but again, it's doable. I mean, Austria played well 4 years ago, but there's still questions there. And look, we are one of those teams in the tournament, kind of like Wales, where it's like, okay, we may not be the best team in terms of sheer talent, but we still have one guy who can wreck a game.
I was going to say, you have enough talent. You have enough. You got two good guys. You got two. You could do something. I mean, Wales with Aaron Ramsey and Gareth Bale prove that.
Exactly.
You just need two guys. Preferably one in the front and one in the middle, and a relatively relatively competent defense who could at least hold their position, yeah, you can make some noise. Absolutely.
I like this back three, and it's funny, the retirement of Kamal Glick. I was like, who's going to take that mantle? Instead, I got to be honest. I think it's your boy. Cleaver has been extremely impressive. Extremely impressive.
Mm.
Second bracket. Settler State, Iceland, Ukraine, and Bosnia.
Well, look, let me just say this. The fact that Iceland was even here is a victory. If you have not, search in HITC sevens on YouTube about the Iceland team and the scandal that happened there. Blew me away. Blew me away. I mean, I hope that everybody that was involved with that Iceland squad from 8 to 10 years ago is completely gone, because it's awful what happened up there. But if you have not seen it, you need to watch it, because the way that whole program fell apart is just really, really, really sad. It's really sad. So the fact they even got to the opportunity to play, to qualify, is something to be said about that,
And
because
they stomped the nation that shall not be named
yeah.
first in the first leg. Ukraine is doing their best Liverpool impersonation now. And I saw this with I like Sergei Rebrov. I'm a Dynamo Kiev fan. Him and Shevchenko were the face of Dynamo when I was coming up, and he was our manager. And I think he's a damn good manager. If he has one flaw, he kind of has this weird Slavic Pep Guardiola thing where if they're playing a team which they should beat, he falls in love with possession. It's like, we're possessing the ball. If we possess the ball long enough, we will score. In both matches, they went down early, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh crap, we're playing. We have to turn it up.
We have to score.
And in both cases they did. Look, we're all Ukraine fans on this show, I think, for a variety of reasons. But this team, if you look at the talent that's assembled, particularly in the midfield, this is the most talented Ukrainian midfield ever. And Rebrov, this 4-2-3-1 formation. They're in a group with Romania, who are better, but this is their first major tournament in a long time. Slovenia, that has that dude, Byron Robb, you'd probably know, that guy from Leipzig, the striker, Sesko or something.
Well, the striker at Leipzig is Openda.
The other guy, the Slovenian dude.
Yeah, what's his name?
Anyway, they have him, and they have Oblak.
Stat boy Rob to get it. He'll get it.
So, good on Jan Oblak. But they should be beating. That should be 6 points.
Yeah, Sesko. Yep, it's Benjamin Sesko.
And I'll keep it real. And I had a conversation at a bar in Philly with Mike Simzak and the bartender on this very point. I'm not afraid of this version of Belgium. Yes, Kevin De Bruyne's good. He exists.
Yeah, Lukaku's had a bit of a resurgence too. He scored 14 goals in this tournament. I mean, I thought Lukaku's career was over. So there's something there.
There's still something there, but if
Lukaku has been so good this year that Chelsea fans, because he's technically on loan, he hasn't been sold from Chelsea.
He's got 10 goals for Roma too.
Right, still on your books.
Yeah.
Chelsea fans are starting to talk about, what if he comes back?
You're already paying him. What's the worst that can happen? You're already paying him.
Well, we know what the worst could be. We've seen that, but I'm not actually terrified, because outside of those two, this isn't 2018 Belgium, right? This is a team where there's still a handful of superstars from the golden generation, and maybe some young guys who could be good. I like Jeremy Doku, but he's far from the finished article. In some ways, I'll say it, he's comparable to Mudryk. He's young, he's fast, he has a footballing IQ. Doesn't necessarily always put the ball in the back of it. So I think that's a group that I think Ukraine should be able to get out of. But I also think it's weirdly winnable. Uh, right. If you get 6 points where you should, and then even draw Belgium, you got a chance.
Mhm.
And then the debutantes, and this is cool.
This
From
is cool.
this is cool. So, uh, you know, Greece beat Kazakhstan, which I wasn't shocked. I was a little shocked that Kazakhstan got curb stomped.
Well, I was too, because we've talked about Kazakhstan on this show before, and you've given us quite a few updates about how they were really starting to put together a bit of a footballing culture over there. So it was shocking that they would kind of go out the way they did. But you have to give Greece their credit. I mean, Greece has a relatively competent national team
I think there's
over the years they've had.
I think there's two things at play here. It was in Greece. Kazakhstan have an incredible home field advantage. They don't
Mhm.
travel all that well. Uh all of my Greek friends and Greek students swear that this is the beginning of a Greek resurgence. So okay, I saw some of that. Uh and look, kind of like Iceland, the fact that Kazakhstan was playing in the playoff in and of itself represents legit progress. So Greece took care of Kazakhstan, Georgia took care of Luxembourg, which set up in Tbilisi a match that easily could have ended. It ended 0-0, went to penalties. Could have been 2-1 Greece, could have been 1-0 Georgia. Uh Scrappy little match, but the Georgians got through, and this is cool on a number of levels. I've said this before on the pod, I'll say it again. When the Soviet Premier League was at its best, it was like a self-contained Champions League because you had all these different republics and all these
Mhm.
very different styles of football. Like, the stereotype of Soviet football really was Muscovite football, which was, I think they even made a joke about this in the Ted Lasso series. The Russians invented 4-4-2 because it's robotic. Everyone
Mhm.
knows their job. You have this thing.
Mhm.
Whereas you went to Ukraine, the football was, different. Look, Dynamo Tbilisi, which was the flagship of Georgian football in the Soviet era, their nicknames were the Brazilians of the Caucasus.
Mhm.
They play flair ball like that. That was part of their DNA. And when the Soviet Union collapsed, because of lack of funds, because of straight up civil war, Georgian football went into the toilet. I mean, they were minnows. But something really interesting's happened. I mean, first of all, big ups to the manager, Willie Sangal, who I didn't realize he was yeah,
Really?
he's the manager. Yeah.
I had no idea. Wow.
Yeah. Willie
Look at
Sangal.
that.
Big ups to Willie Sangal.
Yeah.
And you look at this Georgian team, and it's a
One of your boys, Rob. Yeah.
but it's a
Yeah.
weird mix, but it's sort of a wonderful mix. So you have Kvaratskhelia, who's like legit good and on the precipice, I think, of being potentially world class. You have Mardadishvili, the goalkeeper at Valencia, that I think is one of the more underrated keepers in all of Europe. Uh Mika Dadse, the center from Men's, who's doing his thing. But then you got guys like Goram Kasha, who's the MLS dude. He's like 40, the center back, big dude with the beard. So you got this team where it's like old sort of cast off people, like who you might know from the MLS or like if you watch the RPL, and these really interesting young players. Because remember, Georgia made it to the semifinal in the under 21 Euros.
Oh, interesting.
So there's a core of really good young players here. And talking about like what could be, you'll look at their group. So you have Portugal, who I think we can all agree, maybe not a favorite, but at least a contender. But then you have a Czech team, which, look, I watched them in qualifying. They were in Poland's group. Patrick Schick, but this Czech team isn't as good as the team from 4 years ago.
Mhm.
And then you have Turkey. Look, 4 years ago, I drank the Turkish Kool-Aid. I look like a moron.
Yeah, well, Turkey's still riding on the fact they finished third at the World Cup in 2002,
Yeah, like,
and
I
they've
look at
really
this
been
team and I'm
underperforming.
like,
There's
I
no
don't
way they
think-
should have had a drop off because Turkey was a legit side for like 12
Yeah.
years, and they have stunk on the international scene, which is shocking with the level of talent that's in that country, and that's a pretty good league.
Yeah,
It's a pretty
not
good league.
terrible. It's a
It's not
retirement
terrible.
home, but it's not
Look,
terrible.
if PSG is playing Galatasaray in Istanbul, that's a toss-up. So, look,
That group
they should be better. They
that
should be
group-
better.
They should, but like again, it's like art. Yeah, doing nationals with Germany too. Good point,
Mhm.
Bob. It's like I don't know. Again, I drank the Kool-Aid 4 years ago. I said Italy's going to have a hard time in that group. I was wrong. And I don't know, is this Turkish team any better than it was 4 years ago? Are they going to
Yeah,
be
that's a good
running
question.
my man Ozan Kabak out there? Because if they are, that's a problem. There's a realistic chance Georgia can finish second and at worst third in that group if things go right. Because the only sure thing I know is Portugal. And then it's kind of a mystery. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
but I think Portugal's a Cristiano Ronaldo hamstring injury away from crapping out too, because I don't know.
What I will say is that Santos is gone. And while I'm not the hugest fan of Roberto Martinez and his tactics don't matter,
Yeah,
anything beyond Santos Paul, anything that's somewhat progressive and can take advantage of some of the legit talent Portugal has.
yeah.
But like I said, if you're Georgia, you got out of the third playoff
Yeah,
bracket.
but they still got Pepe on the squad. Come on, man.
Straight up older than me, that's incredible.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
well, not me, but
you're looking at that group and saying, you're Georgia, okay.
Yeah, I don't know why.
We could wind up in the round of 16.
Yeah, that's true. I will say this again. This is probably for another show, but I do have a soft spot for Roberto Martinez, and Chelsea. Mike, you'll agree with me there. It's because of those Wigan days. Those were awfully fun. Remember that was fun, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
Fun in the Wigan days.
Yeah.
See,
that was so long ago, and
and
I'm
see,
still
I
like,
can't-
we did it at
Winning FA
Wigan.
Cup.
I can't get over his Everton days. So
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, go ahead.
Do we want to talk Copa America real quick, or do we want to segue right into?
Well, we got about 7 more minutes for our international segment, and I know Rob is talking about it, and I'm probably going to be bringing my boy to the Panama game, trying to bring my son with me, and so but yeah, we can hit it. Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's talk about it. I don't know. I guess we're just gonna talk about U.S. soccer, and
What are you, G?
no, I'm not G. I'm just frustrated because I feel like they should. I think the hard part is that what we see from U.S. soccer is we see them win a tournament like this Nations League type of thing, and they struggle against, Jamaica, and and I know Jamaica's. How many guys who play for Jamaica are actually born and raised and actually like plays professional soccer in Jamaica? It's damn near impossible. I mean, I've been to Jamaica several times. I absolutely love Jamaica, but come on, like
If Leon Bailey is to be believed, they don't even have jerseys for you when you show up.
it's right. Yeah, he was on vacation. He saw him practicing, and they were like, "Hey, he might be one of us." That sign him up.
You want a passport?
Hey, they went and got Michael Antonio from West Ham, and he ran circles around the U.S. team. So, let's jump into it. Rob, Robert, Chelsea, Mike, which one of you guys wants to jump in with this Copa America?
I mean, I'll jump in because I'm going to 2 matches. I'm going to the USA Panama match in Atlanta, and I'm going to Peru Argentina in Miami. Which I'm going. I'm not selling my ticket. I saw Messi already at the World Cup, so I'm going to support Peru, and I don't care. But anyways, look, the US have a tough group. I think Bolivia's punching above their weight. Then you got, I think, but they're the first match. They need 3 points because I think Uruguay or Uruguay to smack them pretty good. They're just good. I'm sorry. Everybody is just loaded with talent always.
Yeah.
And then the Panama game should be a wrap, but you don't want to rely on that Panama game. That's the hardest part.
And that is, because you look at that group, I think, altitude tax is the weak link. Bolivia. If they play in Bolivia, they're okay. They're good. If they don't play in Bolivia, they're bad. Uruguay should be the favorite in this group, and I think Argentina's the favorite. But if you put a gun to my head and said, who do you think is the second favorite? I'd probably say Uruguay.
Yeah.
Everything is going to come down to that Panama match, and that kind of scares me only in so much that Panama doesn't necessarily fear us.
Well, we've also lived long lives and have had CONCACAF, I wouldn't say minnows, but teams we should be handily beating all the time crop up and devastate us.
It's that Gold Cup PTSD.
Just going to Group A, Argentina, Peru, Chile, Canada. Canada loves. Canada has issues with the federation.
I was gonna say they keep shooting themselves in the foot, man. They don't want to be good.
Take that away. I have them finishing last in this group because I'm sorry, like I'm biased. All right, I'm Peruvian. Screw you, all right. But and I think the old farts of Chile could get one more tournament out of them. I don't know how far to go.
Down Alexis Sanchez still in Chile.
He's still playing, right? Where's he playing? I don't know, somewhere.
Italy.
I think he's at Inter.
Italy.
Yeah, he's at Inter. That's right.
Yeah.
And the Argentina, they're just good. I mean, obviously, So
they don't even think Messi could just take the tournament off, and I still think they'd be just as good.
Yeah, I either have Argentina and Chile, Argentina, Peru making it out of that group, and then the Mexico, Ecuador, Venezuela, Jamaica group. I mean, I want to say Mexico, but man, they are so bad. They have nobody in Europe, really. Chucky Lozano, invincible Chucky Lozano. They're awful. And the thing about it is, with Mexico, there's nothing in the pipeline. Nothing. Like there's no light at the tunnel. Like I remember when we had the issue of 2018 with the USA, we had light. We had Tyler Adams. We had Pulisic, obviously. We had Weston McKennie. We had like young stars coming through. Tim Weah. We saw there was potential there. But Mexico, nothing. It is crickets over there at the Azteca. So I honestly see Ecuador, Venezuela coming out of here. Venezuela is really good. And then the last group, Brazil.
Well, don't sleep on Jamaica, Rob. I think Jamaica has a little bit more talent than you'd think.
Oh, 100%. But the problem is the federation is shit, and Leon Bailey and Antonio won't play potentially for them because of it.
Going back to what Chelsea Mike said, though, and actually it's funny Rob, I have the same 2 teams, but isn't this like, I find Group B fascinating because it's the group of death, but it's the group of like mediocre dysfunctional death. Mexico's a mess, Jamaica's a mess, Venezuela is a baseballing nation.
I was gonna say
better, but they still have a ways to go.
And the country is not in the best shape right now.
No. And then you have Ecuador that has the talent, But aren't there issues in that team too, like disciplinary stuff? Like
Ecuador's underperformed internationally for a long time because they've
So, like-
definitely had the talent.
that group fascinates me because I could see I think Ecuador and Venezuela, based on recent form, probably are the two teams that go through. But would it shock me if it's Mexico and Jamaica? No. Right? All four of these teams have some talent. All four of these teams also have problems.
Mhm.
Like bare problems.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Mexico's going to get out of this group primarily because it's just too much for the other squads, but I think they'll probably be out the very next game.
But you know what? That's what the Mexican FA wants. It's like get out of the group stage.
Mhm.
Word, mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Don't try to fix anything.
This is the
For
Copa
Mexico, that's all
America.
we do.
Come
Yeah.
on. Mexico should have a little bit higher standard for that. But
And
Chelsea Mike, go ahead.
going.
Chelsea Mike, go ahead. You want to think ahead?
I mean, I wasn't. I watched the Nations League final. Was not impressed with Mexico, and I agree with Rob. There's just not. There's no optimism there. There's no young. There's nobody coming up for them. He's got it dead on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think Mexico's in danger of becoming a permanent third, if not worse, place team in this in CONCACAF.
Which would be colossally sad if Mexico becomes.
It would be quite the downfall.
If Mexico falls behind Canada, that's really sad.
And the only reason that's not happening is because Canada's FA can't get their shit together.
Yeah.
Yes, so, right. Well, Canada's still wondering why they're playing soccer on grass and not on ice. They can't figure that out yet because that FA is just completely lost. I couldn't believe the last World Cup. I was like, what are you doing? You won the qualification and your players are about to boycott. And Canada, I'm sorry, you're a first world country. You've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me.
There's a couple contract issue with their rights deal, and that's kind of screwed them up a little bit. But no, I remember when they finished first in qualifying for the 22 World Cup, the first thing they put on their social media is Kings of CONCACAF. And what happened? Got smacked by the USA in the Nations League. Now look at them. They got smacked in the World Cup in general. Ever since Alphonso Davies missed the penalty like a fool. And so ever since they've had that moniker Kings of CONCACAF, they've been shit.
Yeah,
and I'm you know what? I'm happy to see it. The last group.
Let's go to Group D real quick. Yeah.
Brazil, Colombia, Paraguay, Costa Rica. Costa Rica doesn't have the players anymore. Like they don't have a Brian Ruiz. Even Keylor Navas is just not, he's not the Keylor Navas we know. And in Brazil, they don't need Neymar. They're actually better without Neymar. So they know Van's out of here. The interesting will be Colombia, Paraguay. That first game is between Colombia and Paraguay. And I think whoever wins there will win. We'll get out of the group with Brazil. And now look, if they tie, then it's going to come down to potentially like goal difference or something crazy like that. But I value Colombia here. I think they have talent. They're really good. I think James Rodriguez somehow is like playing okay again. For country, not for club really. And yeah, those are my outs. And I think I have Brazil, Argentina in the final. I mean, but think crazier things have happened.
Mm-hmm.
Knockout tournaments are weird. I'm excited. I'm excited to go to some of the matches to see it. And instead, I hope you go. Please get tickets.
Yeah. I gotta skip my son's schedule together, but I'm trying to get him a ticket as well, so we can both go.
Yeah, go. We'll meet up.
We'll hang out.
Hotel nearby.
Man.
Yeah. I'll buy you a beer or whatever, or non-alcoholic beer if you have a kid around. I don't know.
Nah, he's cool. Don't worry about
it. All right, cool. Yeah,
he knows it's one of Daddy's drinks. He'll be good with that. Yeah. But I is it just me, or I don't know. We're all. I mean, I'm probably older than all you guys are, but we're all children of who remember the Brazil team of the '90s and the 2000s. The odds. We remember that team. We remember those squads, and it wasn't like it was the same guys. They were just churning them out. Yeah, the Jogo Bonito, absolutely. Is that gone? Because I don't know, that luster around Brazil is just, I don't feel it. I don't feel it. They try to ride Neymar, and Neymar can't stay healthy, and he is 30 something years old, and it's like that's kind of done, but he was kind of it. And look, I think David Luiz got a call up recently. I'm just sort of like, what's I just feel like it's gone. I feel like it's gone. Let me know your opinion on that.
It's all gone.
Stead, you're right. I hear these Brazil stands just like out there preaching the gospel of Neymar.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yo, child, you didn't see Ronaldinho play. Because if
Exactly.
you saw Ronaldinho play, you like they throw out all these stats like
Exactly.
Roberto Carlos was a defender and could hit the ball from 40 yards out.
40 yards, yeah. Yeah. I mean, Ronaldo would have the ball at his feet and outrun the opposing team's defense and score at 21 years. I mean, it's crazy. Also, like, and we're forgetting too, when we were coming up, they had a 5'5" striker who was like winning the ball in the air with Romario. But so it's like, hello. These Brazil stands need to cold drink of reality. Go ahead, Matt.
The big difference is those Brazil teams had at least 2, if not 3, game changers in the squad. Neymar's not going to be there. At best,
he's too busy flopping.
He loves to be.
The best thing he did was win them a gold medal and for the most meaningless international tournament ever at the Olympics.
The only real game changer on this current Brazil squad is the goalkeeper.
That's true.
It's
their goalkeepers
Allison, and
Vinicius.
Yeah. I think Vinicius could be. Well, I think if he's going to be that person, he's got to do it this summer. He's got to do it this summer.
There's a difference between Real Vinicius and Brazil Vinicius. Now that could also be, the supporting cast, the management issue there has been odd, but we have one game changer, one potential game changer, and then and again, this is not me gloating over ex-Everton man, but I'm used to R9, you got Richarlison, who
he's Richarlison. That's who he is.
He's
Richarlison. Exactly. I'm not gonna dump. I'm not dumping on any of these guys, but it's just like
it's a hell of a drop off.
It is. Look, Gabriel Jesus is proving to be a bad buy for Arsenal. He's proving to be a bad buy. I'm sorry. He since the knee injury, he has not been the same. He's only 26, and he's going to be playing for, Everton. I mean, that's where he's going. He's just not. He just doesn't have it anymore, and it's sad. But look what's up with Anthony over at Manchester United. He's one scandal after another, and you're just looking at this Brazil squad, and it's like I'm looking at the recent call-ups and the kind of their squad. There's nobody that makes you there's nobody that scares you. Gabriel Martinelli is their scariest forward. Gabriel Martinelli,
who hasn't
22 years old, he's their scariest forward. He scored 1 goal for Brazil. 1. So, my point is this. It's not going to happen because for some reason, Brazil always gets the most favorable draws when it comes to international tournaments. I don't understand. They always do. But I'm looking at it going, Rob, you're right. They might not win the group. They might not. And if they do win, I think if they semifinal, I'll be surprised. Because I'm not surprised. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say surprised because it's Copa America. But I just feel like if they don't make the final, I won't be surprised if they don't make the final. I won't be surprised. I think that's the point I'm trying to make. And I think that's why I think as a kid, because the first World Cup I can remember watching was the '90 World Cup. I was 12 years old. I remember watching it. I was living in Japan, and they actually showed it on TV. Could barely understand what the commentators were saying because it was all in Japanese. and my Japanese wasn't that great when I was 12. But I remember watching some of those games, and that was my introduction to Brazilian football. And it was like, wow, this is I've never seen anything like this before. And then we saw the '94 World Cup where that U.S. Brazil game is stuck in my head. U.S. was hanging on. They were hanging on with a pinky onto that tree to try to stay in that game. They were hanging on, and I loved how much they fought. But that team was so well overmatched. And then you had the '98 World Cup where, yeah, they didn't win, but that team was fantastic. That team was fantastic. They just happened to run into a team of destiny with that France squad. And Zidane was going to win that cup because even though he got suspended for 3 games that cup, that was amazing. Then you had the '02 Cup, which was Ronaldo's coming out party. As I'm one of the best players you've ever seen in your life, and that was amazing. And then Ronaldinho and the Ronaldinho show, and then you had those teams that just had iconic player after iconic player after iconic player. And I think that it bothers me that it's gone. That's probably what it's just bothering me. And you can't shove Neymar down my throat. You just can't do it. You just can't do it. I'm sorry. You just can't do it. And I have nothing against the guy. I don't like floppers. I don't, and he's a flopper. But also, I've seen him up close in person. I was shocked how small he is. He's a very small guy. So I get it. I get you got to protect yourself some way because you're a $140 soaking wet. And so I understand. But man, I long for the days of that enigmatic team that you knew were going to do something special, even if they didn't win. They were going to do something special, and I think that's gone, and that hurts. That hurts. So I think we'll wrap up Copa America with that, and then I think we should pick this conversation back up as we get closer to the tournament and we start seeing who the final squads are, and we start seeing what's going to come up to that. That'll be a good jump off. I'm glad we got a lot of international tournaments this summer. It's always fun when you have some things to talk about this summer too, so we can see who are going to be the new upcoming players that are going to make runs in the club game. But we got about 20 minutes left. We had a huge weekend because of one game. One game. And that game ended in a draw. And it was 0-0 draw, Arsenal Man City. But I don't want to talk about that. What I want to talk about is how did Liverpool is this Liverpool's race to lose? Basically, is this Liverpool's race to lose? And Chelsea, Mike, please, I know Chelsea's not in on this, and I want you to kind of bury the hater in you a little bit because we all got it when it comes to Liverpool. But
I hate Liverpool. I hate Liverpool.
But Matt, go ahead, and then we'll jump to you, Chelsea, Mike. But is this Liverpool's race to lose? Because for circumstances that I'll let you elaborate on, that I probably know what you're going to get at, but I want to hear it from you. Go ahead.
So a lot has been made because let's be real, this is the first time since 2016 that we've had a 3-horse race.
Absolutely.
Season. That being said, this is not 2016. 2016 was tight, but 2016 was tight because you had 3, and you're an Arsenal fan. You probably speak to this. You had 3 profoundly flawed teams in a not very good league.
Yep. I surprised people when I said they finished second that year. They're like, really? It's like, yeah. And 2 of the 3 losses that Leicester had were to Arsenal. So, and Spurs should have won that league. That's the thing. Spurs should have won that league. They were the best team in the league that year, and they completely crapped the bed. That was Spurs' fault. But go ahead. Yeah.
This year you have 3 really good teams that also have warts, but also have real strengths. It's in our hands now, which is good. You want to be there at this time. But as a Liverpool fan, and I'm not quite as old as you, Stead, but I've been rooting for this team since the mid to late 90s.
That's about when I started following Arsenal. Yeah, same time.
We have been in this situation before, and I have seen us blow it in new and unusual ways, creative ways.
Which, as an Arsenal fan, I can also appreciate.
Yeah. And let me tell you why
that is the one good Chelsea Liverpool memory I have is Demba Ba streaking down the field as Stevie G gave the ball away, and we killed Liverpool's title chances. I have 1. You have 50.
And it was
So-
Demba Ba of all people.
It was Demba Ba.
People.
It wasn't Didier Drogba. No, it was
No,
Demba Ba.
Demba Ba. So, reasons why we potentially can't do the business. It's sort of nuts we're here because if you said you would be leading the league in April, back in August, I would have been like, whatever drugs you have, give it to me. Because we have a totally different midfield. This is a new midfield. And they've played out of their minds. But is this sustainable? You know, we have a lot of guys who have been there, done that, but we also have a lot of guys, really important guys that haven't. The other is, and I think this is a double-edged sword. This is the Jurgen Klopp goodbye tour. Does the pressure of that weigh upon these players? Both the young guys and the veterans. Yet to be seen. I don't know yet. Potential reasons why we can do this. Stead, your boys played Man City over the weekend. Potentially get used to that because if you do what you should do, and City does what they should do, you play each other twice in the next month. And I love that. Because you guys have to go all in while we're playing, I don't know, maybe Benfica in the semifinals of the Euro. And we can like introduce the club's kids.
Yeah.
What fascinates me too about all this is, look, if we're perfect, we win. I don't necessarily see us being perfect. But I'll be honest, I don't see either you or City being perfect either. I think all three of these teams have potential banana peels in a variety of matches. And it's funny, there's three clubs that aren't going to win this league, but have a giant say in what's going to happen. Brighton, Villa, and Tottenham. We already played Brighton for the final time, but all three have to play Brighton. You still have to play Brighton, City does. We also have to play Villa 3 times, and we also play Tottenham 3 times. And I'll be honest, that match away at Villa the next to last week scares the ever living crap out of me. That and the West Ham away. Man United on Sunday would have scared me, but see, we screwed up in the FA Cup.
Right.
I'm not afraid of that because we're gonna come and we're gonna be angry. Tottenham at Anfield, the refs stole that match from us, and you're gonna play Highline at Anfield? Good luck with that. It's those 2 matches away at teams that are dicey, and they're just good enough where if you take the intensity, if you take the foot off the brake a little bit, they can hurt you. Particularly West Ham. Our young not Nigerian, Ghanaian friend.
Ghanaian. Yeah, I gotta look him. I gotta borrow his name. Muhammad. It's something Muhammad. Muhammad something.
Kudus.
Yeah.
Kudus. Yo, he's good.
That kid is good.
Good. If
He
you
is
told me
really good.
tomorrow he's the heir apparent to Mo, I'm like, sign me up. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
And look, me and you have mentioned this many times. Unai Emery is not a bad manager.
No, he's not.
He's flawed, but he's not a bad manager. So, I don't know. It's gonna be fascinating. The inner fan in me says, "Oh yeah, we can do this. And we should do this." But I've been here in this position before and seen even larger leads because Mike rightfully brings up but it's actually the week after because we still could have won that league. We just decided not to show up against Crystal Palace. So I don't know. This is going to be fascinating.
Yeah, it is. You bring up Villa though, because I'm going to say this too. I'll tell you the team that I really don't want to see. And look, It's Chelsea.
I knew you were going to say that.
Chelsea's
Yeah, because
Chelsea
because you
Yeah.
never
scares.
know which Chelsea's going to
Exactly.
show up.
Yeah.
Never know who's going to show up.
And it's a derby, and that always,
Exactly. And
always.
so I'm just looking at this and I'm sitting there going, okay, look, we know that Chelsea, like you said it best, we don't know which Chelsea squad's going to show up. We don't know. But Chelsea plays Man City twice. Do they? Oh, I'm sorry. They just play them once. You just play them once because you got an FA Cup game.
And
Yeah.
once in the FA Cup. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So you're looking at this going, okay, what happens there? What happens there? Now, City have Real Madrid, Tottenham, Chelsea, and Brighton. Okay.
And Tottenham
Sorry.
away, where they have problems in that stadium,
Right.
whatever reason.
You don't want to play Brighton at Brighton. You don't want to play them there. Now, if City go out and Erling Haaland scores 2 in the first 20 minutes, okay, then they know game's over. But they have some challenging games up there. Now, granted, I do think that the fact that Arsenal is not involved in any of the other cup competitions is one thing that disappointed me because I thought that was their best shot to win a trophy this year. But, you know, Bayern they've had Arsenal like this. I'm not going to say it because I'm teaching 5th grade again, but they've had Arsenal like this. And it has been very difficult to get over that. And you got Bayern twice. In between that, you have Villa. Who's their manager? As you said, it's Unai Emery, who I think is a good manager. I think he took the Arsenal job at the wrong time. It was just the wrong time for him to take that role. Then, who do you have after that? You have Chelsea in 2 weeks. And again, it's a derby game. At least it's at Arsenal. Hopefully Chelsea's like, we went out and partied last night. We're good. Or Raheem Sterling decides to be Raheem Sterling from 5 years ago. You know, I don't know who's going to be there. And that's why Chelsea scares me. But then, I'm just going to say it. Arsenal, you have to play Spurs at Spurs, and you have to play Manchester United at Manchester United. My outlook on Arsenal winning this is especially if they beat Bayern Munich. Because if they beat Bayern Munich, Arsenal's proven they can play with Man City. Arsenal feel like they have a shot to win Champions League. And if you ask me as an Arsenal fan, would I rather win the EPL or the Champions League? It is no contest because Arsenal has had a dismal record in Europe, especially in finals. They have a dismal record. They're like 0-5 or something like that. You know I'm going to pick Champions League because we've never won that competition.
And look, in England, it's you, it's us, it's United. I'd even throw Chelsea in there in recent history.
Yeah, I put Chelsea in.
Domestically, the legacy is secure.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why Arsenal is not mentioned as a big club internationally is quite simple.
Absolutely.
The record internationally is disgraceful.
It's disgraceful. It's disgraceful. You've had 3 clear opportunities to win Europa League since you started your Champions League dive, and you failed every single time. Meanwhile, in that time, Chelsea's won it twice.
Yep.
Twice.
2 with the big years, too.
Yeah. Spurs have finaled since then. Spurs have finaled. And even though Liverpool won, most people will agree Spurs were the better team that game. They just didn't win. Didn't win. So, and let's not forget, who else has won an international trophy since then? West Ham has won an international trophy. It may be the Conference League, but did they win? Yes. And I think West Ham either finaled or they semifinaled for the Europa League too the season before. So you have London teams. Arsenal's supposed to own London. You're supposed to own London. And now you have a very, very rough go. If you get by Bayern, I don't care about the EPL race anymore. I don't care. You got 13 league titles. You've won one this millennia. That's good enough for now. You have a horrible record in Europe. A horrible record. Show me a team that is considered the third best team throughout, historically speaking, in one of those leagues that has a worse international record. And I'm not just talking about finals. You've been knocked out by Monaco more than once. You've been knocked out by Olympiacos. You've lost finals to teams from don't play a team from Spain. You can't beat anybody from Spain. Forget it. Forget it. So that's the most important thing you need to do. Hopefully, with Arteta, that's got to change, because I will wipe my rear end with an EPL Cup if we can win Champions League. Absolutely. Chelsea, Mike, go ahead.
So Stead, I'll be a lawyer here, because I don't want City to win the title.
I don't either.
It's like a reign of terror, and
that's why I asked the question the way I did, because I'm like, Liverpool, just hold serve. You're not in Champions League. Just go. It's okay.
And I don't like it's such a hard position. I guess I'd be cheering for Arsenal, which I don't think a lot of my fan base would agree with me here, but there's not really any good options, frankly. And I just hate Liverpool, because as long as I've been watching, we've lost really, really big matches to Liverpool over and over and over again.
That's why I hate Manchester United.
Right. But here's the case for City. Fixture congestion, that's not anything new to them. They've been going through the fixture congestion the last 2 years.
Yep.
3-4 years.
Yep. And they still come out smelling clean. Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, Erling Haaland, do you really pick a guy you want on your team in the world more than Erling Haaland? Right.
But this is the funny part, though. He's on 18 goals in the Premier League this year. He's leading the league, but they don't need him to be Superman. They don't.
I was just about to say, they're the most, and you saw it again on Sunday.
Yeah.
Their most important piece isn't Haaland. It's not even De Bruyne. If you take Rodri. Out of that midfield, I don't know how good a team they actually are.
Yep.
Like, he is the glue that holds all of that together.
1,000% agree. 1,000% agree.
But and again, their schedule is harder than Liverpool's. I do think Liverpool has the easiest schedule.
By far, I think.
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
And the other teams, I think Liverpool has the same amount of talent, but year in and year out, Pep Guardiola, there's always kind of the doubts, and he always just delivers, and he keeps doing. And until he stops doing it, I'm going to pick him to keep doing.
It's why I keep picking against PSG. Prove me wrong. And Pep keeps proving you right. Why would you pick against them?
Right. So, I mean, that's the case for Manchester City. And I think that they could very well get there. I would be happier that if it was Liverpool, but still not really ultimately satisfied with the season.
Yeah, it's trying to keep logical about this, but I can say this is exciting, and I haven't been excited at the end of the EPL season for quite a long time, and not simply because Arsenal's involved. It's because there's actually something to watch. There's something to watch. Because look, I'll say this about Arsenal: I can gripe about losing to Fulham all I want. Those 2 losses in December, I fear would cost them a lot, and it's proven to have done that. But Arsenal was up by 10 points last year and blew it. So again, had they not had the decimating injuries to their defense, as any Liverpool fan will know, that can completely derail your season. I think Arsenal. Yeah, I think Arsenal would have won the title last year had that not happened. But the number of times that Arsenal leads the league by far in number of weeks leading the Premier League without actually taking home the trophy. I'm almost happier that they're not leading right now, because of recency bias. You're just like, well, shoot, that never works before. Let's go ahead and try to see if you can win from behind. The fact that they were able to simply frustrate City the way they were, the fact that they were able to play in a manner that they don't. Arsenal has never been they have never been a team that will take a bloody nose and keep fighting. That's never been an Arsenal team. And the fact that they were like, no, we're gonna we're gonna scrap, we're gonna fight, we're gonna make you angry. And Saliba, I think, is the best defender in the Premier League. But you saw with Gabriel, and you saw the end of that game. Haaland was frustrated, Him and Gabriel had a battle out there. There was a lot going on. And then, of course, they hugged it out at the end, which is what they're supposed to do as professionals. But you saw Pep was worried. Pep got in between them and was trying to push him apart because he thought they were going to have some scrap. That's not Arsenal. So to see that on the road, got a point, you got to at least feel pretty good about this team having some moxie that they have not had since Patrick Vieira left. And where did Patrick Vieira go after he left? City.
You have to admire, because last year it was the injuries, it was the mentality. It was also at times too questioning your manager's tactics. And Arteta, I've always actually stepped up to the plate for him because I'm like, still learning.
Yeah, he's
and look what
he's the same age as Xabi Alonso, 41. Yeah.
So if you're an Arsenal fan, that's encouraging as hell. But, like I said, it's all three of these teams have warts. City, if Haaland isn't firing, and, if you take Rodri out of the equation, I think they're a rather ordinary squad. We have newbies in the midfield, and we still have a fair amount of injuries.
I think Kyle Walker's hurt too. I think he's hurt. I think Kyle Walker's hurt.
He is hurt.
Yeah.
Your biggest wart was clear in that match because you had the better chances playing on the counter in the first half. You just don't have anyone who can finish their meal.
No, we don't. That's supposed to be Gabriel Jesus.
And his confidence
is gone. It's gone. It's gone. He doesn't get angry when he gets subbed out. I think that says enough. Yeah. And the fact that Kai Havertz has played as well as he's played.
But Mike knows this. It's purple patch time for him.
Yeah.
That's what he has 2 good months, and then you question why he exists. Why he exists in the confines of your club.
He shoots up and it's like, wow, this guy. And of course, Kai Havertz scored us a Champions League winner. Back, he had one good game, I guess. It's kind of the only one I can remember. but no, yeah. But then, of course, for the other 11 months out of the year, at least you only spent 60 million because we spent 80.
Yeah.
So
and it's so funny. Yeah, it's so funny though, because even on amongst the Arsenal fans with whom I communicate, we all applaud his effort. And none of us go, boy, this Havertz is really something special. We're just like, Havertz played well today. And that's about the end. Because all of us watched it. We all know Chelsea fans. We all know it. So we're just like, dude, Havertz really showed it today. Oh, Havertz played well today. That's great. Okay. Let's move on to next week and we'll see what happens then. You're exactly right.
Yeah, hopefully next week he doesn't put 3 over the crossbar from inside the 6-yard box.
Yeah.
Because he's got an unusual talent for that.
That's true. Or just dribble straight across the touchline and give up a goal kick, So hopefully that doesn't happen. So it's exciting. It's something that I'm sure we'll talk about a whole lot more. I'm enjoying this, but I will say that Spurs and Villa are only 5 points out of third. That's it. And I think, that's it. So as we've seen in the Premier League, 2 bad weeks or 2 good weeks can change just about anything. So even though we have a 3-team title race, you still got to play Villa. You still got to play Spurs.
Exactly. We all have to play them.
Got to play them.
And as much as, and I don't have the personal hatred that Mike has for Brighton.
I do. I just hate them.
I used to have it. After they hurt Burt Leno, I couldn't stand that team. But then they got rid of Neil Maupay, and I'm like, okay, I don't like so much anymore.
I don't want De Zerbi, or as my autocorrect keeps calling him, De Zero, as my next manager. But he does get the best out of that team, and they're a problem. Any given week, they're a problem.
They're a problem. They're a problem. Well, that's enough EPL because I'm starting to sweat a little bit. So, Chelsea, Mike, do you want to bring us up to speed on what's up with some promotions and relegations because we're getting to that point very soon. It's blatantly obvious that Leicester has completely run away with the championship, but
They haven't. They're in third.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I completely misread that. There's quite a gap there, right? Though.
Well, there is a big. So there's 3 teams. I'll just do the championship really
Okay, I'm
quick.
sorry. Leicester was running away with it though, and then they
were.
stumbled. Okay,
Yeah.
make sure. And I was like, wait, I'm not crazy. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
So, yeah. So Leicester are in third, and they still have a game in hand. Big Monday of matches this week that I shouted far and wide. Bank holiday Monday. But all of the top 3 teams, Ipswich, Leeds, Leicester, they all won their matches. And there were some pretty big matches too that they won. So the way it stands right now, Ipswich on top with 87 points. That's a double up, right? Promoted, double promotion.
Yeah.
And they're on top of the league. Now, again, Leicester is only 2 points behind them in
So
third.
Ipswich was in League One last year.
Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah, they're a story. And their fans are long suffering because they were an old Premier League side that fell on hard times and had to go down and work their way back up. So that's a good story. That's who everyone's heartstrings are going to be pulling for as we go into the last couple of weeks of the season. But Leicester still do have the upper hand in the title race, or at least promotion. Leeds coming on strong, undefeated in their last 5. And Leicester City, who had a huge gap, and still all the big names that they brought down everyone with them. Like they still have Iheanacho. Jamie Vardy's there. He's very old, but he's still Jamie Vardy. You still wouldn't want him
Jamie
coming
Vardy,
on
though.
against.
Yeah, I love Vardy. I always will. I'll always love Vardy.
In the 75th minute, that's you don't want to see Jamie Vardy. So it's a 3-horse race, and so there's only for Ipswich, Leicester has 7 matches. Ipswich and Leeds only have 6. So we're at the end of the season. But down at the bottom of the table, it's just as compact. Rotherham are gone. There's a huge gap there, and Rotherham actually won this week against Millwall and staved off mathematical elimination. So good for you, Rotherham. You got yourself another week in the championship. But there's the constantly unfolding dumpster fire of Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah, it's sad. It's just sad.
Huddersfield, who were just recently in the promotion final, are also in a relegation spot right now. Plymouth Argyle, who's promoted, and Birmingham, who every year for the last couple of years have threatened to go down. There's 3 points separating those 4 sides: to stay up, to go down. And there's Millwall creeping on the edge, but I think they're relatively safe.
Yeah, Birmingham drives me nuts because Birmingham beat Arsenal in that League Cup final when Arsenal was trying to end their trophy drought in the same year they got relegated. They haven't been back to the Premier League since. I'm like, yeah, but they still won a trophy. Like, come on. Look at you, Birmingham.
Right. So Ipswich, so this upcoming weekend, Ipswich take on Norwich. Norwich lost this weekend.
But they're still in the playoff. So your favorite team might come back to the Premier League just to get 11 points and go back down. You ready for that season of that, Chelsea, Mike?
Their goal is to be the 21st best team in English football. Right now they're sitting at 26, but the playoffs can just automatically bump them right up. So yeah, that's a big match this weekend. Norwich and Ipswich.
Nice.
So yeah, always by the way, check out usually there's 2 games, 7:30 and 10 on ESPN Plus, the championship. If you don't want to watch, your hated EPL rival absolutely murder Luton or whatever.
It's true.
Not that I have that joy as a Chelsea fan, but you probably might.
Yeah, hopefully. Maybe I can get some sort of joy out of this game that seems to give me nothing but stress and cause me to lose more hair every week. But well, I think we're gonna wrap this up. So if Matt and Rob want to pop back in just to say bye, but if not, it's all good. But that was a good show. That was a good show. Thanks for coming back on. It's been a while since we've been able to get on. So Mike, again, hopefully your home situation and everything you got to get repaired out of there, it gets together and you guys are good to go, so you can come back and take over the reins. Though I enjoyed hosting. It was okay. It was all right. But so we'll go ahead and call this one another one in the books. This is show number 111, which is pretty cool. So for Professor Matt, Chelsea Mike, and Brian Rob, I'm Stead, and this has been the Too Many Guys Soccer Show. And to quote Mike, we did all right this week. We'll do better next week.